today. Meron po din tayong insurgency.
Mabuti
Yes,
po
sir.
na itanong ninyo yan dahil may kasabihan, the more things change, the more they remain. Kaya napag-isip-isipan namin, no? We reflected on it, na ang problema, it will not be solved by changing personalities. No? It's systemic. Tuloy-tuloy yung institutional damage. No? At interestingly, naalala niyo nung tayo nakapag-usap sandali doon sa Luneta.
Yes, sir.
I share this observation with you, no? From my limited perspective and experience. We have been doing the same thing, no? As a government, as a people, no? Politically, economically, in terms of security, and expecting a different result, no? So may tawag dyan, and we will not deal with that anymore, no? So sa tingin ko kailangan mag-paradigm shift tayo ng konti at baguhin natin yung approach sa mga basic problems, no? At ngayon napapako tayo sa, alam mo na, panahon ngayon ng halalan, no? We should be expecting the candidates, that includes myself, dahil nag-file naman po ako ng certificate of candidacy to try to go back to the Senate where I served for 21 years. So sabi natin, baka kailangan pag-aralan nating mabuti ito. So ito yung mga lessons learned so far, which I am glad I'm given the opportunity to share this with you and our people.
So we have a question here from Mr. Wilson Kaadan. He's asking if you regret any of your actions. I assume that this is from 1980s and so on. Did you ever regret your actions? And if given a chance, would you have done something else or do it another way?
Well, two parts yung question. No? First, no regrets. But always lessons learned. Sundalo lang po kasi kami noon. No? So, kay Wilson, no? Kaadan, sundalo lang kami noon. The tools at our disposal were limited.
Yes.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a businessman, no? I'm just an ordinary soldier, professional soldier. At yung ginawa namin was, yung kasi ang sinumpaan namin tungkulin to protect the Filipino people, no? And give our lives if necessary and do what was necessary. So yun ang nag-udyok sa amin na mag-intervene in that manner. But again, I go back to what I shared with our audience and you, no? Na nagsimula talaga itong reform the armed forces movement, no? Nung may nangyayari na sa field at ground level, no? Just soldiers na para bang dati kasi Attorney Trixie, no? Kay Mr. Kaadan, pag nag-utos galing sa commander-in-chief, hindi kami lumilingon. We never look back to check kung ano ba naman tong order na to, di ba? Is it legal? Is it moral? Is it constitutional? Pero noong mga panahon na nagugulat kami dahil ang nagiging biktima are the very same people we are sworn to defend and protect. Protect life, liberty, and property of the majority of our people. So yun ang napansin namin. So would I do it the other way around or differently? Probably konting pasensya, no? Para sa amin. Pero yung kasi yung nangyayari noon was hindi na, siguro I was younger then and the people with me, no, were also younger. Baka kulang rin kami sa presensya, no? We did not take the time to examine, no, the sources of our information. Maybe differently, we would have given it a little bit more time. But again, we saw our people whose lives, liberty, and property could not wait. It was also a case of siguro impatience on our part. So I would probably spend a little bit more time to gather more information before we did something out of tradition and something as drastic as what we did. But again, looking back, ang resulta naman was the historic state-of-the-art 1986 February People Power Revolution. It was People Power Revolution. We just provided the military component.
I see. The 1986 revolution gave birth to the 1987 Constitution, which states, in part, that the AFP is the protector of the people and of the state. What are your thoughts on this particular provision? This is supposed to be, yes, this is supposed to be the provision that recognizes your role in 1986, the military component's role in 1986, because they took to the streets, according to history, or at least according to the Constitutional Commission's minutes, is that the AFP was there to protect the people from the state. So your thoughts on the significance of this provision in the 1987 Constitution?
Maybe our interpretation, Attorney Trixie, no? Well, for Mr. Kaadan and our viewers, no, and listeners, no? Baka, yun nga, our interpretation was too narrow, maybe, ha? Although I go back to my reply, no regrets. No regrets. We took collectively. By the way, I wanted to add, yung reform was even an acronym. No? Dun sa parada ng PMA sa Baguio, no? We unfurled banners during the alumni parade. Nakalagay, we belong. We belong to, ang message namin, hindi lang para sa alumni, but to the people who gathered there to witness the alumni parade. Reform was an acronym for restore, reform, R-E-F-O-R-M, restore, no? Righteousness, no? Righteousness, moral, order in the armed forces. So reform the armed forces movement kami noon, no? And we thought we could reform ourselves from the inside. Wala naman palang problema dun sa amin. Second point, which I wanted to emphasize is, the armed forces is not any administration's Praetorian Guard. Hindi ito private security agency ng isang administrasyon, no? If you go back to history, yung Praetorian Guard, yung parang presidential security ng mga emperor noon. At kung minsan, if I read history right, no, yung Praetorian Guard mismo ang who went against the emperors when they felt that the emperors did not serve the interest of the Roman people na lang. Second is, yung Roman legion, sa akin pagkaintindi, nagtatanong naman ako, no? Ang banners nila noon, di ba? Nakalagay, SPQR. Konting research, no? I try to get further my education. Ang ibig sa SPQR, Senatus Populus Qui Romanos, no? I'm talking about the Senate and the people of Rome, carried by the Roman legions. That's the armed component of the Roman Empire, no? Hindi naman nakalagay Julius Caesar and the people of Rome, no? Nakalagay Senatus Populus Qui Romanos. The Senate was elected by the Roman people, no? So, ito yung mga components nung aming pag-aalsa noon. At yun ang in-apply namin, no? So, these were maybe limited during our time. This is what guided us. So, restore ethics, fair-mindedness, order, righteousness, and moral, not only to our group, but to the entire armed forces, na wag papayag maging security agency ng kahit na sinong administrasyon. Serve the interest of the people.
But this has always been the statement of the AFP, even in various periods where there were challenges that faced the AFP, and it appears that a decision, or at least the AFP has had to, well, because of the constitutional provision, has had to confront this particular issue. Every time the AFP says, we demand that they are there to serve the people, but that also there seems to be a disconnect between our politicians and the demand of the AFP that the state must uphold the interests of the people. Your thoughts on this, on the current situation?
Well, Attorney Trixie, yun ang sinasabi nila. No,
Mhm.
But yung disconnect, which you mentioned very in a very timely manner, yun ang sinasabi nila, pero hindi nangyayari on the ground. Look what's happening now, no? In fact, I was commenting that the mandate of the AFP, the legally authorized armed components of the government, AFP, PNP, and isama na natin yung NBI, no, is not to explain policy. is to implement legal, constitutional, and moral orders. No? Diyan yung siguro, I think, lawyers, no, like yourself, would be able to interpret this properly. But in our part, yung tinataya namin, yung tinataya ng mga kasundaluhan at kapulisan natin, buhay nila to protect the people. Diba? So, hindi ito lip service lamang. Hindi ito, ginagawa ito. At sa ngayon, makikita natin na mukhang hindi ganun ang nangyayari. There is an inconsistency between what institutions like the AFP and its leaders are saying, no, or thinking and doing. Dapat may thread that connects this. They call that integrity. Yung iniisip mo, yung sinasabi mo, at yung ginagawa mo, dapat may connect. Hindi pwedeng iba iniisip mo, iba sinasabi mo, at iba ginagawa mo. That's why going back to 1986 and the subsequent uprisings, I don't call them coup d'etats, no? But may disconnect. There was missing, no, a thread of consistency in what they were thinking, probably, which you cannot read, what they were saying and what they were doing. So we wanted to make that very clear, that this was not, I did not do it to grab power for myself and install myself as dictator. The other thing which I just remembered, Attorney Kirksey, no, with your permission, no, is diba? The other thing is, in my case, noong 1986, okay lang na mag-break away yung armed forces, the RAM, no? And provided the armed component to what was happening in the States, yung people power. Nung subsequent uprisings happened, at target na yung mga nakinabang noong 1986, biglang mali na. Ang tawag na nila, coup d'etat. So bakit? Why the double standard? So pag makikinabang ka pala politically and you are installed in positions of power, okay lang. You call it a breakaway. You praised it. In fact, you put it down in our history books. Pero pag kayo na ang target for the same basic issues, abuse of power, corruption, di ba? Inefficiency, weaponizing the justice system, to name a few, weaponizing the budget, biglang naging kudeta na. Di ba? Hindi, para sa akin, hindi naman katanggap-tanggap yan.
Ms. Tesby is asking if there is a similarity of what's happening in the present compared to during Marcos Sr.'s time.
Well, my reply to that was, there is really definitely a similarity. Kaya lang, I would not want to, tread into dangerous ground and assume na kasalanan ito ng kasalukuyang administrasyon lamang, no? In the same manner na yung nangyayari sa atin, hindi ito kasalanan ng mga nakaraang administrasyon. Cumulative kasi ito. Napabayaan yung institutional damage, di ba? Napabayaan yung systemic, yung mga problema sa sistema. Democracy is not perfect. Sabi nga ni Churchill, naalala ko na naman, democracy is the worst form of government, with the exception of others we have tried. Di patuloy ang paghanap natin ng sistema, no, na akma sa kultura natin, sa history natin, sa tradition natin, no? And hindi naman ito perfect, pero wag naman sana at the expense of the interest, yung tinatawag na public interest and national interest. Wag naman at the expense of that. Because in my case, looking back now, maybe with more clarity, no? Nag-worry naman ako sa mangyayari sa mga anak ko at mga apo ko. 'Di ba? Pag wala na ako sa mundong ito, paano naman kung they will be on the receiving end and I cannot protect them anymore? And who will protect the other children of other Filipinos who are defenseless? So going back to the question, no? Pareho, pero hindi ito pwedeng ipatong sa balikat ng isang administrasyon lamang, yung kasalukuyan o yung mga nakaraang administrasyon. This is work in progress. So, ang prescription sa tingin ko rito, the minimum requirement for nation building, if you want to repair this institution, is unity. Di ba, ang problema yun is napako na naman tayo sa too much partisan politics. Nakakalimutan natin yung mga tunay na problema, which are, basically to me, I may be oversimplifying it, no, is, food. Yun, problema yan. The surveys will bear us out: food, clothing, shelter, health, education. And now, the new gold, the new oil, information, access to timely, accurate, and complete information that will allow us at personal, family level to make informed, logical, and rational decisions that will impact on our future, especially the future of our next generation of citizens and leaders, our children, and in my case, my grandchildren. Yun ang interest ko rito. Buhay pa ako. I have to keep on expanding my knowledge through information and make the necessary decisions. And I hope these decisions will result in peaceful, legal, and constitutional means. I wanted to look at myself as a rebel, something that is in the past.
But even, well, we'll talk about how even your rebelliousness has its place in current Philippine political situation. But you mentioned information. You were the DICT secretary under President Rodrigo Duterte. Could you tell our viewers what you think you accomplished during your term as the first? I understand you're the first secretary of the DICT.
Hindi po, Attorney Trixie. Sa ating mga kabayan, no? I was probably the third or the fourth. It was when I took over the youngest department.
Yes,
in fact, I recommended Attorney Trixie somebody else who was the acting, no? OIC. So I wrote, I was still a senator then. Sabi ko, Mr. President, baka pwede mong gawing permanent secretary na. Alam niyo, sagot po sa akin ni President Duterte, hindi, magtatapos ka na noong 2019. Ikaw na. Sa loob-loob ko, Attorney Trixie, hindi naman ako techie. Di ba? Malay ko naman sa Department of Information and Communications Technology. So, ang sagot sa akin naman ng President Duterte is, ganito i-simplify natin, I'm not putting you there as a techie. If I needed a techie there, I was second guessing him, no? I'd put somebody who's a doctor in information and communication technology. I'm putting you there as a manager. Di ba? Sabi sa akin, ito ang mission mo. Former colonel, former rebel, former senator, no? Connect government to other governments, domestic and global. Connect government, no, to business for productivity. Connect government to the Filipino citizenry and connect everybody to each other. So ang mission ko is connectivity. At he pushed the envelope sa board. Sabi niya sa akin, do this faster, no, and cheaper if not free. So connect. Gamit ka ng tower, ng cable, ng satellite. That was my simple mandate. So I assembled a team of the best and the brightest, a legal team and a technical team. Manager lang ako I knew my limitations, no? But I was also, if I could manage, no, armed men in combat, I could probably manage a department, like the Department of Information Communication Technology. So I told them, ganito, ito ang mandate natin kay Presidente. No? This is our mandate, Department of Information and Communications Technology. I told my team, ito ang guidance ko sa inyo. No? If something goes right and we are able to connect yung mission natin, no? Then you take credit. You are young people. Some of you might have careers in politics later on. You use this in your resume. Pag something goes wrong, you point to me para ako yung tanggalin sa pwesto. Diba? O ako ang magre-resign pag hindi ko kaya yung kahihiyan dahil we fade in our one day. So what did we do? In broad strokes, Attorney Trixie, during our time, ang broadband speed increased by 800% in 2.5 years. Ang free Wi-Fi increased by 500%. I put that on record. Okay? Ngayon, may bintang sa amin. Yung meron din kaming mga, di ba? Confidential intelligence funds. Actually, without going into details, the office of the president was being hacked. Our energy sector was being hacked. Remotely, So we reported this to the president. Something was done about it. So that I put that on record. Of course, question. Alam mo, nauso na yung CIF, Confidential Intelligence Funds. Ano ginawa nyo? Alam mo, Atty. Trixie, no, nakakatuwa. Dahil I think the understanding and appreciation of government itself for the power, the potential of information and communications technology is still limited. Kailangan educate pa natin yung gobyerno aside from educating our people. No? So, natutuwa ako dahil during budget hearings, when I face not only Congress, no, but other sectors, natutuwa ako dahil hindi masyado naintindihan. Konti ang tanong. Siyempre, hindi ako masyadong pinagpapawisan pag pinapapaliwanag. Hindi maganda dahil hindi na masyado naintindihan. Konti yung budget. So, it worked both ways. But notwithstanding these limitations, I can understand that. No, we did quite a lot. We were able to accomplish something also.
Currently, the information and technology part of government is under scrutiny, but for freedom of speech issue, this might be a little, how do you call this? It might hit me close to home because Congress issued summons for influencers and would like to create a regulatory framework for social media. Your thoughts on this?
Well, Atty. Trixie, ang hirap i-regulate that something that happens in mid-air. Di ba? Napakahirap. Kung hindi mo ma-regulate, paano mo i-impose yung checks and balances? So, I think, ang isang approach doon, hindi ako nagmamarunong dito o nagmamagaling, no? Is digital education. Let's educate our people. Bago natin I'm not implying anything, no? I'm not even doing this for the benefit of our vloggers, no? Those who are in social media, no? Ba't mo sa kanila ipapatong sa balikat nila? Hindi mo nga ma-regulate, gusto mong parusahan? Di ba? Parang sa akin, medyo hindi naman tama yan. So let's put this in perspective. Let's make the rules clear, di ba? With so much power, especially in social media, comes corresponding responsibility. Pero it's, di ba, digital, let's educate our people, not only the bloggers, no? In fact, multimedia na tayo ngayon. Di ba? It feeds on each other. Di ba? Social media, pag kapos ka, you go into mainstream media. Yung mainstream media naman, pag kulang ka sa 6 o'clock news, you go back to social media. That's my perspective. Sa isang bagay, it's the future. And it's not happening, Atty. Trixie, every hour, every second. As we speak, technology, the world is changing, and whether we like it or not, whether we participate or not, whether we're part of it or not, the world will change even without us. So pag hindi ka, if you don't develop an appreciation for us, especially for our young people, our future citizens and leaders, maiiwan talaga tayo. And since nabanggit ko na government has to educate itself, di ba? It should digitally educate itself. What does this mean? What does digitalization allow us to do? It allows us to do things faster and intervene in a more precise manner, especially in terms of budgetary support. Di ba? Let me add, I can anticipate that this might be asked. No? Lagi sinasabi ng government, whole of nation approach, inclusive growth. During my time as the ICT Secretary, we approached local government. Sabi, connect natin cables, di ba? Towers, satellite. Alam niyo, Atty. Trixie, sa ating mga kababayan, no? Ang tinatanong nila, ilan ba boto dyan? How can connectivity be driven by a narrow political? Pag tinanong mo naman, yung mga corporate, di ba? Institutions, no? Ang tanong naman sa amin saan ba tayo kikita dyan? Di ba? Hindi ba pag sinabing inclusive growth, you go for the farthest, the smallest, and the poorest para sabay-sabay ang pag-angat. And I have anecdotes, stories, no? Living proof na this is not happening on the ground. Ang sabi naman namin sa kanila po, no, is i-connect natin yung malalayo, pinakamahirap, pinakamaliit, no? Pinakamaliit, pinakamalayo, pinakamahirap, okay? Pag kinonect natin, di ba? Parang release ng trend. dadami ang economic activity. It's the productivity that happens. Di siyempre, pag may economic activity, dadami ang tao. Pag dumami ang tao, dadami boto. Pag dumami boto, kikita ka. And there's a market for connectivity. So sabi ko, ba't hindi ganun ang approach? We went to Palawan. I was hoping to go to Kalayaan Islands. No? Alam niyo ba, Atty. Trixie, no, mga kabayan natin, yung mayor doon, nag-opisina sa Puerto Princesa. Sabi ko, bakit po, mayor? Ano masagot sa amin? Senator, ang hirap magbiyahe. Yung bangka namin ni Kahoy, kung malunod kami dyan, kaka-shuttle. So they were holding office in Puerto Princesa. Sabi ko, bakit kaya? Naisip ko tuloy. No? Sabi ko, ilan pa boto sa inyo? Alam niyo, Atty. Trixie, sagot sa akin, 800 po ang boto, ang botante. Kaya pala. They've been requesting for an iron hull, no? Steel hull boat, para medyo safe naman sila. Taon ang binilang nila. Hindi sila pinapansin. I'm not blaming anybody. I will not go into additional details. Siguro hindi sila pinapansin dahil ilan ba boto dyan? So anong pakinabang nung agency, di ba? Pag lapitan mo naman yung private entities, saan ba tayo kikita niya? Paano ka kikita? 800 lang nga ang botante nyo. So economic activity. Pero that's our front line. That's our frontier. That's our... Yan yung front line talaga natin sa West Philippine Sea issue. So ito yung mga bagay na kailangan sa tingin ko pag-ukulan ng pansin. At naaawa lang ako sa malalayo. Yung malayo ba sa sinasabi na anecdotal na malayo sa kusina. But again, that's another issue. I have some thoughts on that also. But
since napasadahan nyo, nadaanan ninyo yung West Philippine Sea issue, how do you feel about the approach of this administration to the problem with China and its relations with the United States?
Okay, I will not, I don't want to be misinterpreted, especially. I don't want your program to have low ratings. Tinatanong po ako, no? As a former soldier, former senator, former ganito. I have the advantage of I went outside the system, no? So I know how it is to go outside the system. Anyway, going back to your question, tinatanong ako, does the Philippines have an army to confront any threat? Di ba? Threat muna. Di ba? Sabi ko, wala The Philippines does not have an army because the Philippines is an army.
Okay. Teka, naghang pa.
Diba? Who sings the national anthem and stands at attention during flag raising ceremonies must be prepared. Bata, matanda, babae, lalaki. Yun ang last line ng pambansang awit, di ba? Ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. Ngayon, kung hindi natin kayang panindigan yon, I'm not dramatizing this, Atty. Trixie, no? Palitan natin yung linyang yun dahil pinapakanta natin sa mga estudyante, kabataan, di ba? Bago magsimula yung sine, sa sinehan, yung stand at attention. Kung hindi natin kayang panindigan yan, palitan natin. Di ba? Okay, that's going over the top. Pero tinatanong ako, sa tingin mo, lulusubin tayo ng mga threat sa atin? Sabi ko, hindi siguro. Bakit naman? Paano nandito na sila sa loob ng bansa? Tingnan mo yung puwit ng baso, made in, di ba? But, ang problema, Atty. Trixie, and I want to add this perspective, lagi tayong kinakaon sa pro-anti. Pro-China, anti-China, pro-US, anti-US, di ba? Now, you scale it up or down. Pro-BBM, anti-BBM. Pro-PRRD, anti-PRRD. Bihira kong marinig yung pro-Pilipino. So, over time, since we've been focusing at maybe looking at the wrong direction, no? Baka kailangan i-emphasize natin yon. That's when we deal, let's say China, when we deal with a country with a 5,000-year history, mag-iingat tayo. At bakit? We're only 120 years old. Di ba? Yung US na nagsasabing kaalyado natin, hindi ko sinasabing pagdudahan natin, is only 250 years old. Idagdag mo na yung minsan kausap na UK, 1,000 years old without a written constitution. Pag sama-samahin mo yung 1,000 plus yung 250, plus yung 120 years old natin, kulang pa sa kalahati ng 5,000 years ng China. Abay, mag-iingat tayo. Since we cannot read, again, predict, no? What they are thinking, what they are saying, and what they're doing, what do we do? Abay, mag-ready tayo. Things are not normal, no? The sooner we realize that what's happening around the globe, no, in the globe, will sooner or later impact on our country. So mag-ready tayo. Hindi normal ang sitwasyon ngayon. Hindi normal ang sitwasyon ngayon. So mag-ready tayo. But the minimum requirement is we unite. Okay lang magdebate, walang problema yan eh. 'Di ba? That's democracy. 'Di ba? Wag lang magsuntukan, magbarilan, no? Okay lang magdebate. Pero at 'di ba, law of nature, an organism unless confronted with a formidable threat will fight each other. So we have to explain to our people as a living organism of human beings na that there is a potential threat. Mag-ingat tayo, maghanda tayo, mag-unite tayo as a people, no? Then we organize and we mobilize. Hindi ko sinasabing walang plano yung gobyerno, no? Sigurado may plano. Ang sinasabi ko lang is kaming mga private citizen, no? For the sake of our children, isama nyo naman kami sa planong yan. Pag nagkagulo, saan kami magdodraw ng tubig, ng pagkain, ng armas kung kinakailangan. Include us in your mobilization plan because there is a national service law which requires us to do that.